Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om. So let me share the screen. So we were seeing Karma Yoga, and we were seeing some selected shlokas. So before we join, while others join, we can chant the shlokas which we had taken up, and I'll chant and you can repeat while on mute. I think we'll, though I didn't put this shloka in the with the transliteration, but I think we can chant this. Etu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya veshita chetasam. Yajnashishta shinas santo muchyante sarva kilbishaihi Bhunjante te tvagam papa ye pachantyatma karanat karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Yatah pravritir bhutanam ena sarvamidam tatam svakarmana tam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manavah. So up to this we saw. So what we saw was, we saw that the cause of all sorrow is world dependence for security and world dependence for pleasure, right? So we think the world is providing us whatever sustenance needed, and because of that, money, property, security, like all those things, yes, they are needed, they provide us sustenance, but they also come from a different place, right? So in a secular way we call it as law of karma, and in a spiritual, in a religious way, we say it is a lord who is the karma phaladata. He gives everything. So whatever artha which we have in life, which seemingly supports our life and provides us and our family members security, comes from the Lord. So the world is not independent by itself. So the world does not provide us independently. The world is able to provide us all these things because we deserve that as per the law of karma, and the Lord is the karma phaladata and he gives it. So instead of depending upon the world for security, we depend upon the Lord for security. So yesterday we had interesting discussions. So how would we translate that in everyday life? Now, if we are working in an office, so instead of saying I am working in this company for this manager, under this manager, you work for the Lord, right? Your role is there, but you perform whatever is necessary for your role, and the action you offer to the Lord. The Lord is the big boss, the super manager of this entire world, entire universe. Everything in this universe belongs to him, and everything in this universe is run by him. The Lord is the one who runs this world. So whatever actions we do, either for family, either for profession, or as social service, every action we offer it to the Lord, right? And we do everything for his satisfaction, for his pleasure. That is what at the end of the lectures, like, or end of the classes, we chant Priyatam Pundari Kakshaha, right? Sarva Yagneshwaro Harihi. So, and Tasmin Stushte Jagat Tushtam Prinite Prinitam Jagat, right? So we say Priyatam Pundari Kaksha. Pundari Kaksha, Pundarika means the lotus. Pundari Kaksha means the lotus eyed one, who is Vishnu, Krishna, or the Lord. So Priyatam Pundari Kaksha. So we are doing everything for his Priya, for his pleasure, for his happiness. Priyatam Pundari Kaksha. And the Pundarikaksha is Sarva Yagneshwaraha, right? He is the master of all yajnas. What does it mean? So we saw what is yajna, right? All activities that we do is yajna, right? In terms of fulfilling our duties, giving back to whatever we have taken, right? That is yajna. So here yajna is all activities. So he is the beneficiary of all yajnas. Sarva yajneshwaro harihi. That's what Gita also says. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Right? Gita says Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. So he is the recipient, he is the beneficiary of all yajna and tapas. The same thing is what reflected here. Sarva yajneshwaro harihi. Sarva yajneshwaraha. And he is Hari. Hari is one who removes all problems. Right? Who removes all problems, who removes all impurities from us. So he is the Hari. So Priyatam Pundarikakshaha Sarva Yagneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Stushte Jagat Tushtam. So if he is satisfied, the world is satisfied. Right? And if the Lord is satisfied, then the whole world is satisfied. So Tasmin Stushte Jagat Tushtam Prinite Prinitam Jagat. If he is happy, the entire world is happy. So if he is satisfied, entire world is satisfied. If he is happy, the entire world is happy. So whatever we do for him, and everything else will take care of itself. So that is what here etu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha. So matparaha means having me as the goal, right? So having me as the goal means the same thing, right? Like my goal is to make the Lord happy, right? My goal is to satisfy the Lord. So every action I do it as an offering to the Lord to his satisfaction, right? Now, I will do whatever is needed, I will do everything, but I don't worry about the local bosses, I don't worry about the local people, I worry only about the Lord. So even if you are serving your parents, you serve your parents so that the Lord is happy. If you are serving your children, you serve your children so that the Lord is happy. If you are serving your nation, you serve your nation so that the Lord is happy. So that is what is meant by matparaha. My goal is not to satisfy my children, to satisfy my parents, to satisfy my country, to satisfy my managers. My goal is not anything local. I do everything here because the Lord has kept me in this position. I do everything here because that is the way I serve the Lord. But my goal, my satisfaction, I serve to satisfy the Lord. Right? So that is what is meant by matparaha. Very important word. Right? So etu sarvani karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha. Right? Do all your actions to me for me. Right? And then the second one is you give up the world dependence for pleasure by meditating upon the Lord. Right? That is dhyana yoga. This is karma yoga. This is dhyana yoga. By doing this, what will happen? Mayi aveshita chetasam. Our mind will be constantly tied to the Lord. Okay. So once we do that, then the Lord will take care of that. Teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina achirat partha. Right? So he will become our savior. He will save us from the samsara. Samsara is basically dependence upon the world for pleasure and security. That is what is samsara. And we do our part, and the Lord will take care of the rest. So this is what is the core sloka of the Gita. Sixth and seventh slokas in the 12th chapter is a summary of the entire Gita way, right? And then it is getting elaborated in multiple places. In the 12th chapter only, we saw that initially he elaborates what is meditation, then he elaborates what is karma yoga. But here, this week and next week, we will take up some important shlokas in different parts of the Gita, which illustrate or which explain to us in depth what is karma yoga and what is dhyana yoga. Okay. So we saw the Panchama Mahayajna, right? How we are indebted to this world for so many things, right? And it is overwhelming, right? So many, like, we are almost, can we really repay back what we have taken? Like, it looks like we have taken so much from this world, so we have to give back, right? So we have to give back to nature what we have taken, and that is called yajna, right? And Krishna said like that after giving whatever we eat, that becomes prasada. So prasada does not mean you offer some cooked food or some fruits or sweets to a vigraha in an altar, and then you chant some mantras, and then you offer to the Lord, and then that is given back, and then you take that. That is also prasada, but that is only symbolic, right? But what is real prasada is we work in this world, and out of the work we do in this world, we ensure that we deserve the food that we eat, right? So every food that we eat becomes prasada if we really deserve that food, because we have already worked in this world by contributing for this world. So contributing to this world, working for this world is the essential one. We have taken so much, so we have to give back. And this is the essential spiritual discipline, right? Give, give, give. Don't worry about what, whether someone deserves it, whether it will come back, what will happen to me, who will take care of me. Don't worry. The Lord will take care of you. He says, Ananyas chintayanto mam yejana paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham, he says. So don't worry. He will take care of us. Right? Nahi kalyana kritu durgatim tata gachati, he says. He says a person who does good things will never go to despair. Right? So, Kalyana Kritu, one who does good things, will never go to despair. The Lord gives the assurance. So, depend upon the Lord and just keep working, right? As an offering to the Lord. So, that is what we saw, right? And that itself is worship. Swakarmanatam abhyarchya, right? So doing our duty is worship. So up to this we saw, and so I think we had a very elaborate question answer session last week. Now maybe like before we proceed further, we can take a short question answer session, right? If someone has some important question which they could not ask last week, right? So let us see if someone has any questions. Yeah, I have turned on the microphone. Yeah, if anyone has any quick questions, we can you can ask.
Namaste, sir. I have
Uh,
one question.
yes, ma'am.
தமிழ் தான் எனக்கு
ஆ,
வரும்.
சொல்லுங்க சொல்லுங்க, தமிழ்ல சொல்லுங்க, பரவாயில்ல.
என்னன்னா இப்போ வந்து ம், நம்மளுடைய கல்ச்சரு எல்லாம் வந்து நமக்குன்னு ஒண்ணு இருக்கு.
ம்,
பட் கம்மிங் யங்கர் ஜெனரேஷன்ஸ் வந்து கொஞ்சம்
ம்,
மாறுறாங்க. அது
ம்,
தெரியுது. அது சரியில்ல அப்படிங்கிறதும் தெரியுது.
ம்,
அந்த குழந்தைங்கள வந்து அவங்க பேரண்ட்டே வந்து சப்போர்ட் பண்றாங்க. அந்த
ம்,
நான் சொல்ற ட்ரெஸ் வேரிங்கே
ம்ஹ்ம்,
நமக்கு அது வந்து சரியில்ல. அந்த குழந்தைக்கு அது நல்ல குழந்தைங்க மாறுறாங்க. அது
ம்,
ஃப்யூச்சர்ல அவங்களுக்கு அது நல்லதில்ல அப்படிங்கிறதும்
ம்,
தெரியுது. பட் பேரண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட சொல்லவும் முடியல. ஏன்னா அவங்க என்ன சொல்றாங்க, "எங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் தெரியும்."
ம்,
அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி
ம்,
பேரண்ட்ஸ் வந்து இருக்காங்க.
ம்,
அப்போ என்ன செய்யன்னு தெரியல. அப்ப நம்ம சொன்னா அவங்களுக்கு பிடிக்க மாட்டேங்குது. நம்மளால
ம்.
சொல்லவும் முடியல. பட் அது சரியில்ல அப்படிங்கிறதும் தெரியும்போது, எப்படி இத கரெக்ட் பண்றதுன்னு தெரியல சார். ப்ளீஸ்
ப
அதான் நான் கேட்கணும்னு நெனச்சேன்.
அது அடுத்தவங்க பிள்ளைங்கள நம்ம குறை சொல்ல முடியாது. அ நம்ம
கண்டிப்பா.
கடவுள்ட்ட,
ஆ.
பகவான்ட்ட ப்ரே பண்ணலாம் அவங்களுக்காக. அவ்வளதான்.
ம்.
So we cannot interfere in how other parents grow their children, right? So
கண்டிப்பா.
we can
இப்போ
pray to the
நம்ம
Lord. We
நம்ம
can al-
சன்னு, டாட்டர் இன் லாவா இருந்தா கூட அவங்க அதர் அதர் பேரண்ட் தான் இல்லையா?
ah,
ம்.
see, when it comes to our own children, we have the responsibility to advise. Okay,
ம்.
that
ம்.
responsibility we have. Now beyond that, whether they take it or not, we have we have no responsibility there, right? But at least to advise, to tell, we have the responsibility. But don't
ஓகே.
expect that they will follow. Okay, if they follow, it is fine. If they don't follow also, at least you have done your duty. That's it,
ஓகே, ஓகே. கண்டிப்பா சார்.
right?
நன்றிங்க சார். தேங்க் யூ சார்.
Fine. And pray
ஆ.
for them. That's all,
ஆக்சுவலா
right?
அதுதான் நான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறேன்.
Mm,
உண்மையிலேயே அதுதான் நான் பண்ணிட்டு
mm,
இருக்கேன் சார்.
yeah.
நமக்கு தெரியுது.
Mm,
பிள்ளைங்க நல்ல பிள்ளைங்க. அது வந்து உங்க கரெக்ட் வேல சொல்லி தராம அது போகுதே ஒரு மாதிரி ட்ராக்
mm,
மாறுறாங்க. ஏன்னா, அந்த ஏஜ் போயிருக்காங்க. அந்த 13, 14, 15
mm.
அந்த ஏஜ்ல இருக்கும்போது அவங்க மாறுறாங்க. அப்ப கரெக்ட் பண்ணி அவங்கள கரெக்ட் வேல கொண்டு போயிட்டா லைஃப் லாங் அவங்க நல்லா இருப்பாங்களே! இத கரெக்ட்
Uh,
பண்ணாம
any,
இருக்காங்களேங்கிறது அது
anyway,
கரெக்ட்.
it is the Lord who runs this world. Okay,
எஸ்.
so we are only doing our best, right?
ஓகே சார்.
And we
கண்டிப்பா.
have examples like Ratnakara, who became Valmiki, right? So
ம்.
we
ம்.
don't know who will become how by the grace of the Lord, right?
ம்.
By the grace
ம்.
of the Lord, in one Kshana, right, He
ம்.
can change a saint into a sinner and a sinner into a saint. Okay,
எஸ்.
so
கரெக்ட்.
we cannot judge, right? So we can pray to the Lord and say, "Oh Lord, take care of everyone." And
ஓகே
another
சார்.
thing is, we don't know what is good for people. We think we know, but really, what is good for whom, we don't know. So we can only pray to the Lord, "Oh Lord, let everyone be happy." Right?
ஓகே சார். ஓகே
Pray
சார்.
to them, and the Lord will provide whatever is good for each person.
கண்டிப்பா.
Prayer to the
ஷூர்.
Lord is the only way. Mhm.
ஓகே சார்.
Mm.
ஷூர். தேங்க் யூ சார்.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, fine. So let us proceed. So we covered Yajna. So now going ahead, we will go for the Dana and Tapas. So I told you that there are three things that Gita talks about in multiple places: yajna, dana, tapas. Right? These three constitute karma yoga. So, so far what we saw was about yajna. Yajna is giving back whatever we already owe. That is yajna. So now we'll go to dana. Now there is a very beautiful shloka which defines what is the right or correct way of dana. I'll chant maybe, and you can chant being on mute. Datavyam iti danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Okay, so Krishna says Taddanam Satvikam Smritam. Which dana is considered as the best dana? Again, he says the Satvikam Smritam, which means basically like he says it is not something which I am telling you, it is something which has been already there, right? It is considered already, right? Uh, so what is the right dana? He says, Datavyam iti yad danam diyate. So that dana, yat danam diyate, which has been given, right, as datavyam, it has to be given with a sense of duty, right? So you don't consider it as a privilege. You don't say, oh, I am high, I am in a higher position, and so I am, don't look down upon the people to whom you are giving, right? So you give out of humility. So that is called datavyam. Datavyam means like you are giving it out of humility, right? Not out of arrogance, right? So humbly you give. Datavyam iti yad danam diyate anupakarine, right? To people who cannot give you anything in return, right? Or without expecting anything in return. Because if you are giving to what you have already taken, that becomes yajna, right? So yajna is where you give in return for what you have taken already or what you will take in future, right? That is yajna. Whereas when it comes to dana, where you don't expect anything in return, you don't expect anything back, then this becomes dana. The person has not even given anything to you, and you also don't expect anything back. And so probably the person cannot give anything back also. So now that is dana. Dana is where you give, where nothing comes back. Then it is dana, right? Then deshe kale cha patre cha, right? So at the right place, at the right time, and to the right person, or to the most deserving person or needy person. Now, in the modern times, what we can translate this is like give it to a most needy person at the time and place where they need the most. That is what we can consider it as deshe kalecha patrecha. But if you look at Shankaracharya's commentary to this shloka, he would say like during an auspicious time like the Mahalaya or Amavasya, and at that time at a place like a Tirtha Kshetra like Kashi, Gaya, Rameshwaram, to the person who does the karyam for Pitru Karyam or any such religious ritual, who does to such a Brahmana, you give. So that is what. So now he has kind of commented based on the condition at that time, right? The condition of India at that time was where everything was in abundance, right? The population was very less, and the land was bountiful, full of forests and running rivers, and rains, everything coming at the right time, and the entire country was very very rich, right? India was at the peak of wealth and very very rich. That is what that is why it attracted all the invaders and all the colonizers from all over the place, because India was very, very rich. There were no poor people at all. And so now, because there were no poor people in the entire society, the society had made that it is mandatory for some people to beg for their livelihood, right? Brahmacharis, sannyasis, and brahmanas were, it was mandatory for them to beg their food. Because otherwise the society will not get any opportunity to do charity at all, right? There was, the society did not have any necessity, no one had any necessity for begging. And so the entire society had no necessity for giving in charity. So the society had created a structure where brahmachari, sannyasis, and brahmanas, where it was their duty to beg their food, right? So brahmacharis have to beg cooked food, or brahmacharis have to beg for uncooked ingredients for food. Sannyasis had to beg for cooked food, and the brahmanas also beg for uncooked ingredients for food. And the brahmanas, even though their duty was to beg, they would not beg, right? They don't want to beg. Like, so what the society did was, okay, fine, you have all these rituals where you get this work done, and as dakshina you give as dana to the brahmanas. So a system was created so that a brahmana, even though the society had made it mandatory that they have to beg their food, now it created a dignified way by which food can be given to them. And so that is what Shankaracharya points out in his commentary to this shloka. But then the current situation is very, very different. Of course, you have the rituals, you have the brahmanas, like, but most of the places, like everyone, the brahmanas also follow secular means of livelihood. And there are some brahmanas who do the rituals and all that, like, for which now, because people don't give dakshina, like they have fixed price and cost for everything, and the entire society is very, very different, right? The traditionally, like education and rituals, they have to be done for dakshina. Dakshina means the giver decides how much to give. The taker does not fix a price, right? So when you say dakshina, dakshina means, right, for example, education, healthcare, uh, rituals, these were all considered as things which has to be done for dakshina, which means even if the giver doesn't, irrespective of how much the giver can give, right, the person who gives money can give, the service given is the same. That is what is called as dakshina based, right? Now, when it comes to education, there might be one person who can pay a lot more than another person. Now, irrespective of how much the student can pay, the education which is given to the student is the same. You don't distinguish between, okay, this person has given 10,000 rupees, so I will give him this kind of education. This person has given only 1,000 rupees, so I will give this kind of education. This person is taking education for free, so he gets this kind of education. That is not the case, right? So when it comes to education, healthcare, and rituals, irrespective of what the person who pays for it pays, or sometimes the person might not even pay, but the person who gives the service has to give the same service to everyone without any distinction. Now, that is what is called as dakshina. So, the pers- the doctor who gives treatment, or the teacher who gives education, or the purohit who does the karya, either it may be a deva karya or a pitru karya, right? Now, without making any distinction between how much the person pays, they have to provide the same service. Now, one person might be poor, they might not be able to pay at all, but then another person might be rich and they will pay more to compensate for that, right? So a person will give based on his capacity to give. But the service to be provided has to be uniform, has to be the same, irrespective of how much money the person has given. Now, this is what is the idea or concept of dakshina, right? Now, dakshina means the person who gives according to his capacity, but the service provided is uniform across, irrespective of how much is given, right? That was the system. And that is what Shankaracharya mentions in his commentary. Okay. But now systems have changed. Anyway, no problem. There are, the country is overpopulated, right? And people have, there is so much of taratamya, right? So much of ups and downs, differences in the society is there. There are so many poor people and who are forced to beg because of various circumstances. So today, if you go to any temple or any holy place anywhere, you find so many people begging. And there are, accordingly, there are so many charitable institutions who are also providing free food, free medical services for all these people in all the uh, places of pilgrimage. So there are so much of opportunity to give, unfortunately. But anyway, like from the sadhana point of view, like there is so much of opportunity to give. So give. So basically, give without considering anything in return. Now, this dana, giving, right, gives where basically it acts at various levels. Now, why should we give? Because it is only by giving that we can reduce our greed, right? Our greed for money, attachment for money, right? Thinking that this world, we depend upon this world for security, all these psychological uh, biases, right? Will, we can revert them, we can change them, right? We can do the opposite only by giving in charity. So, giving in charity develops the right mindset to say that I I don't depend upon this world for my security, right? So to do that, you do give in charity, right? Charity deeply affects the psychology, right? And when you give money, when you give food, when you help people in charity, it acts at a very deep psychological level, and it removes greed from us, and it removes this wrong notion that we depend upon this world for security. So dana is a very, very important spiritual practice. We have to give in dana. There is no option, right? So every month, like, you give at least a portion of what, either you can, if you are earning money, you can say, okay, every month, whatever I have earned, 10% I will give in charity, you can say. Or if you say like, no, no, I'm not, I don't keep track of that, or I'm a housewife, or like you say, I don't earn tangible way, then you say, okay, whatever is being spent on me, 10% I will give it back, right? So either way you can do, but pick some amount, and every month you give, right? So in our town, they had a very good practice. This was 150 years back, right? So what they used to do was, every house, so there used to be this the uh, charitable organization which runs all the temples and the schools and the charitable hospital. So we had one charitable institution which runs about 5 temples in the town, and it runs about 5 or 6 schools for boys and 2 or 3 schools for girls. And also they run a charitable hospital also. Now this institution was running all these things, and so the person from that institution, they used to bring this thing, earthen pot, and they give it to every house, right? So they give one earthen pot with the name of the institution written on that to every house in the town is given that pot, one pot. And the people in the house, the mother in the house, before she cooks food in the afternoon, whenever they are cooking food, the rice, whatever they cook, one handful of rice, they put it into this pot every day. Every day, while putting rice for cooking, one handful they put into this pot every day while cooking. And end of the month, the person comes with a sack and they collect this rice into that sack and give back the pot. So every month they go to every house and collect whatever rice which is collected in that pot. And that rice is sold, and with that money, they run the temple, they run the schools, and they run the hospital, which is, and the school and everything is run free of cost. They don't charge anything from the people. And of course, temple, there will be donation box and all those things will be there. But school is absolutely free, and they give midday meals also in the school. And so they were running this free school by this system even 150 years back, right? And the symbol of the school itself is a pot with a person wearing, putting rice into that pot, right? That is how the school was run. So, and even when I was a child, like in our puja room, there used to be always one earthen pot uh, where on all festival days or all on Fridays, we used to, all of we children used to put money into that pot, into that earthen pot. And monthly once, or once in 2 3 months, whenever we go to our Kuladevata's temple, that whatever is collected in that pot will be put into one yellow cloth, tied into one yellow cloth, and we go and put it into the undial there in our Kuladevata temple. So every week, like, kind of, this is the way we were taught right from childhood to put money into that pot for charity, right? So that pot used to be there in the puja room always, and we used to put money into that. And when we go to our Kuladevata temple next time, like, my father used to open that pot, and it used to be a earthen pot with a yellow cloth used to be tied on the top, and there used to be just one slot for putting in money. And whenever we go to our temple, like, my father used to open that and transfer all that money into one yellow cloth, tie it, and then put back this. And that yellow cloth, that money used to be put into the undial in the Kuladevata temple. So teach your children to give in charity, right? By donating. Right from childhood, this habit has to come, right? So you also donate money. Dana is a very, very important spiritual discipline, right? So you have to give dana, right? Then the third discipline is tapas. Yajna, dana, tapas, right? Yajna, dana, tapas chaivam pavanani manishinah, Gita says. So yajna, dana, tapas purifies people, right? It prepares you for spiritual sadhana, right? It prepares you for moksha. So without yajna, dana, and tapas, it is impossible to do any spiritual practice. So tapas, so Gita, there are 3 shlokas in the Gita, which is very, very beautiful shlokas. It gives a list of tapas, right? So, and it is classified as tapas which we do by body, tapas which we do by vak, verbal, and tapas which we do by mind, mental tapas. So 3 types of tapas are listed in the Gita. So we will see these 3 shlokas, beautiful shlokas. I would recommend all of you to memorize these shlokas and remember this list, right? So I'll chant, you can repeat. Dat Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Devadvija Guru Prajna Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam. Pujanam Shaucham Arjavam. Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha. Brahmacharyam Ahimsa cha. Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Right? So again he says Uchyate means it is told. So Krishna, repeatedly Krishna says that whatever I am teaching you is what I have learned. It is a part of tradition. It has been told, he says, right? So what is Shariram tapas? What is the tapas that we do by the body? So he says, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam, right? So Pujanam means worship. And because here we are saying this is a Shariram tapas, tapas which is done by the body, we can say this is a physical worship. So either you do namaskara with a physical gesture, or you do Shashtanga Pranam, right? You fall down and you fall at the feet and you worship. So physical worship is what is meant here, right? To whom? Deva. Deva is deities, right? The Archavatara in the temple, right? Deva. Dvija. Dvija is cultured people. So Dvija, it means twice born. So what do you mean by twice born? Like we all have two births. One is the biological birth, where we are born as an animal because this body is that of an animal. That is a biological birth. And the second is the education. Education makes us human beings, right? The biological birth gives life to this body, and it is only by education that we really become human beings, as different from animals. So Dvija is a person who is cultured, who is educated, right? An educated person is Dvija, right? And the more a person is educated and cultured, the more human the person is, right? So bow down to Deva and Dvija, cultured people. Then Guru. Guru is teachers. So a subset of that cultured people are our teachers, acharyas, right? Who teach us. And out of those teachers, some of them are realized souls, prajna, wise people, right? So Deva, Dvija, Guru, Prajna, right? So deities, cultured people, educated people, then teachers, and then wise people. To all of them, we bow down, we do puja, we do namaskara, or we fall at their feet. So in the Ramakrishna Math, like or in many of the sannyasa traditions, so we bow down at the feet of sannyasis, right? So basically, Dvija, Guru, Prajna. So it is based on this. Gita says, bowing down to sannyasis, bowing down to elders, bowing down to teachers, to cultured people is one of the tapas. It's an austerity of the body, right? Then Saucham. Shaucham means keeping everything neat and tidy, right? Swachha Bharat, right? Swachha Bharat is one of the tapas according to Gita itself. Keeping your house clean, keeping your bed clean, keeping the dining table clean, right? And everything should be kept where it is. Paramarthananji used to say, everything in the house should have a place and everything should be in its place, right? That is giving tidy, neat and tidy, right? Everything should be neat and tidy. And just in this, because you want to keep your house clean, don't throw all the uh, kachada on the road. No, you have to keep the road also clean, and the waste has to be disposed of properly in the correct way, right? So shaucham applies to house, to the street, to the neighborhood, and extend to the entire country. And also all the tirtha yatras, when we go, the places, the holy places also, we have to keep them clean, right? So everywhere we have to keep every place clean. And that is a tapas. That is a sharira tapas, right? Shaucham, right? Then arjavam. Arjavam means straightforwardness. So when we say arjavam, it is like drawing a straight line. To draw a straight line, we need 3 points, right? Only then we can say this is a straight line. So our intention, our thought, and our action, everything should be in a straight line, right? So basically, like we have to, whatever we do, and here it is physical, right? It is sharira tapas. So our actions should be honest, right? Honesty in action, truthfulness in action. That is what is arjavam here, right? Because it is a physical manifestation, right? Whatever we do, we have to do, we have to behave in an honest, truthful, straightforward way, right? We should not have something, no hidden agendas, right? Our action should be aligned with what we are, our intention, right? So that is arjavam. Then brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam, literal meaning is continence. So it can be continence, chastity, but in general, brahmacharya means discipline, self discipline, right? So fix a time when to wake up and wake up every day at that time. Fix a time when to eat and every day eat at that time. Fix a time when to go to sleep and every day go to sleep at that time, right? No random life, right? Everything in our life should be ordered, and self discipline is needed, right? How much to eat, when to eat, what to eat, right? So also follow all kinds of vratas, right? They're all given so that the physical vratas given are so that we can develop our spiritual life, right? Now they're all, so brahmacharya in a general way means self discipline, right? Then ahimsa. So ahimsa is non-violence. So here non-violence physically, right? But in general, ahimsa means not exploiting the weakness of others is called ahimsa, right? Ahimsa definition is not exploiting the weakness of others, right? That is called as ahimsa. So brahmacharya, ahimsa. So we see here arjavam, brahmacharyam, ahimsa. So satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya. These three are the core austerities in all scriptures. It will come in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Buddhism, Jainism, and like Mahatma Gandhi in Gandhian way of life. Everywhere, these three, Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, right? These three are the core values, right? That every spiritual tradition, every philosophy, everywhere you will find these three, right? So, truthfulness, kindness to everyone, non-violence, and self-discipline, right? So this is what Krishna talks about. And there are a lot of people who say Krishna asked Arjuna to fight. Like, so does Gita promote himsa, right? In so many places, Gita talks about ahimsa. Ahimsa is, the word ahimsa is promoted. Krishna talks about ahimsa in so many places, right? So Krishna told Arjuna to fight because he was a soldier. And what else should a soldier do in the battlefield other than fight? Because there it becomes his swadharma, his duty, right? The samanya dharma is ahimsa. Even if Arjuna is in the country as a normal, when he moves around in the city as a normal citizen under peaceful times, ahimsa is what will be his duty also, right? And so Gita does not promote violence. Gita says everyone should do their duty, right? Whether if you are a soldier, if in the battlefield, in the war, if your duty is to fight, you have to fight because you are a soldier. Now, for a normal citizen, at times of peace, ahimsa is very important, and also in a personal life, ahimsa is what is there, what is needed, right? A soldier has the duty to fight in the battlefield as swadharma, at the right place, at the right time, in the right situation. He has to use non-violence if other things don't work, right? Samadhana, Beda did not work, so danda is what is given as a duty. But ahimsa, in personal life, ahimsa is the value, right? So there is, Gita promotes ahimsa. Gita talks about ahimsa in so many places, right? Here, Devadvija Guru Prajna, here it comes, and it also comes in 13th chapter, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshantir, Arjavam, right? So, like that, the word ahimsa itself comes in so many places in the Gita, right? So, this is the Shariram Tapas. Devadvija Guru Prajna Pujanam, Shaucham, Arjavam, Brahmacharyam, Ahimsa, right? So, these are all the tapas in the with respect to the body, right? So, we can take vows based on these tapas, right? We can say, I will keep everything clean in my house, right? So, you can take one tapas. For example, you can say, every day before going to sleep, I will clean all the vessels in the kitchen, right? I'll everything will be clean before going to sleep, right? And lot of houses, when they take the clothes after drying, right? The clothes would have dried, and they will just pile it up, right? Now you can take a vow, a tapasya, that every day before going to sleep, there will not be any pile of clothes lying around anywhere. Even washed clothes, I will fold them and keep them wherever they are supposed to be kept before going to sleep, right? So that can be a tapas, right? All the clothes will be neatly folded and kept in their place before I go to sleep, right? So that is saucham, right? Everything keeping neat and tidy. And I will always only speak the truth. I will only act only according to the truth. Arjavam. Whenever I see a saint or a sannyasi, I will fall at their feet. That is Devadvija Guru Prajna Pujanam. That is another vrata we can take, right? Brahmacharya. We can say, we can put a timetable and follow the timetable, right? Or a lot of people these days follow intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is brahmacharya. That is a part of tapas, right? You say, and every day I will do exercise. I will do this many exercise of this. That is brahmacharya, right? These are all shariram tapas. Ahimsa. I will never hurt anyone, right? I will never hurt anyone physically, right? So that is ahimsa. So like this, these are all sharira tapas. Then we will go for vak tapas. I'll chant, you can repeat. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So, what are the vangmayam tapas? Tapas, verbal austerities. First thing he says, anudvega karam means volume control. Whatever happens, I will not shout. I will speak only softly. This is a beautiful tapas you can take. Everyone around you will be very happy for you if you take this tapas. No shouting. That's it. Right? Whatever I tell, I will not raise my voice beyond this level. Right? You fix. I will not shout. And take this tapas. Right? This is a Vangmayam tapas. Whatever happens, I will not shout. I will only speak softly. Right? This is one tapas. Then second tapas, Satyam Priyahitam. Right? Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam cha yat. Whatever it is, whatever I speak, I will speak only if it passes through three gates. Right? Only if it is Satyam, Priyam, and Hitam. Only if it is truthful, it is pleasant, and it is beneficial. Right? Whatever I speak, it will be truthful. And whatever I speak, it will be pleasant. I will not use hard words, right? I will not use words like, you know, names of animals, dog, pig, donkey, monkey. No, never address anyone with any of those words. And whatever I tell, it should be pleasant, right? I will tell in a pleasant way only, right? And it should be beneficial. I will not tell anything which will hurt others, harm others, right? So satyam, priyam, hitam. And satyam is another very important one. Whatever we tell, it should be truthful. And there also, one big, one important tapas which I have seen is saying, I will not tell anything which I don't mean. No sarcasm, right? Absolutely no sarcasm. Never tell anything sarcastic. Because when you say sarcasm, it means you don't what you say. You don't mean what you say, right? Suppose if someone says, "Can shall I go and do this?" Now, if you don't want the person to do that, you say, "No, don't do it." Straightforward, simple, straightforward words, right? Now, suppose, huh? Go and do it. That is sarcasm. You say do it, but you mean that don't do it. Now, don't do that, right? No sarcasm. Mean what you say and say what you mean, right? No sarcasm. So that is a very, very important tapas in these days, where people misunderstand, people misquote, like so many problems come. So one of the important austerities which all of us can take is absolutely no sarcasm. I will tell what I mean and I will mean what I tell, right? I will not tell opposite to what I mean. No, that no sarcasm, right? So that is what is satyam, right? Whatever you tell, you should tell the truth, and it should be pleasant and it should be beneficial. Satyam, priya, hitam, right? So this is the second austerity which Krishna talks about. First one is volume control. Whatever it is, don't raise your volume beyond an extent, right? Speak softly, don't shout, right? Second is speak only what is truth, pleasant, and beneficial. Third is swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is study, read, right? These days, there are a lot of lectures which we can listen also. That also becomes swadhyaya, right? Study good books, read good books, listen to good talks, right? So that is a very, very important austerity of the speech, right? Vak. So here basically it is vak, right? So even a written book is also speech words, basically, right? So every day I will read at least 2 pages from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Take that vow, take that tapas, follow it. Every day I will read 2 shlokas from the Gita, right? That's a very good tapas. These are all swadhyaya tapas, right? Take a vow that every day I will read 2 pages from the Gospel, 2 shlokas from the Gita, or 2 pages from any good spiritual book published by the Mutt. Like this, you take some austerity, you take a vow and stick to that and follow it. This is called Vangmayam Tapas, right? So decide, take a vow, every day I will do this, and you do it, right? This is a very important tapas. Then Swadhyaya Abhyasanam. Abhyasanam means chanting, right? Every day I will chant my mantra 108 times. Only then I am going to have my first solid food of the day. A very good tapas which you can take, an austerity, a vow which you can take. Without chanting, without doing my japa, no food, right? No food without japa. So have some mantra, chant every day, have a spiritual practice for chanting, right? And stick to it, right? So that is abhyasanam. Abhyasanam means chanting the mantra, doing japa, nama japa, mantra japa is abhyasanam. That is also a vang tapas, right? You can say how much you will want to chant. You can keep increasing your level, right? Start with 100, 108, then 2 malas, 3 malas, 4 malas, 5 malas, right? You can keep increasing, right? What, how much you want to chant every day, right? So these are all Vangmayam tapas. Anudvega karam vakyam, satyam, priya, hitam, chayat, swadhyaya, abhyasanam chaiva, Vangmayam tapa uchyate, right? Every day you should have some parayana, some study, some reading of books, and some chanting and japa, right? So these are all the Vangmayam tapas which we all have to take. Then comes Manomaya tapas, right? Tapas at the mental level. What does he say? I'll chant, you can repeat. Manaf prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhavasham shuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. Okay. So, mental austerities, what are they? Manaf prasadha, right? Have an attitude of gratitude. Prasada buddhi, right? Serenity, right? So, and have a mind which is like contented and be uh, like be be grateful to whatever that has come, right? So, manaf prasada. Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam means a beautiful mind, right? Have beautiful thoughts. Like, don't watch horror movies, right? You know, like dark things. Don't fill your mind with dark, negative things, right? Always go for positive things, right? Beauty, art, right? Go for beautiful things, art, nice things, right? Don't go and watch crime, horror, right? Those kind of negative things don't expose your mind to. Expose your mind only to positive things. That is called saumyatvam, right? Always have a positive attitude and always expose your mind only to positive inputs, right? So, saumyatvam. Then, maunam. So, here it is the manasa tapas. So, maunam here means absence of mental chatter, right? Don't unnecessarily keep thinking about so many things, right? So, have a calm mind free from mental clutter, right? No mental clutter. So, that is maunam. Then, atma vinigraha, right? Control of the mind. So, random thoughts will come. That is the nature of the mind. We cannot control them. So, when we say atma vinigraha, it means control of the second thought, right? The subsequent thoughts, we have the freedom to control. Some random thoughts will come in the mind, but whether to pursue those thoughts or not is in our hands. That freedom we have. So when we say Atma Vinigraha, it means do we pursue the random thoughts which come in the mind or not? So mental control means controlling the second thoughts, right? The subsequent thoughts. Then Bhava Shamshuddhi. So have the purity of intention, right? Wish well to everyone, right? Wish well to everyone. Now, I'll tell you something which is very relatable. Suppose you are driving on the roads in Bangalore and you find two young boys who are doing wheeling, right? Wheeling, no, like they'll in a two-wheeler, they will the guy who is sitting behind will jump, and because of that, the two-wheeler will lift up. So the front wheel will be up, and they will just drive only on the back wheel, right? This is called wheeling. And these days, like it is very, very common on the roads, especially if you go in the afternoons when the road is not very crowded. Like lot of these young boys, like they do this wheeling. Now, when you find someone doing such a thing, what thought comes to your mind? Now, don't curse them. Don't say, oh, these boys, they don't know what to do. Only if they go and hit somewhere, they will know. Don't curse them like that. You say, oh Lord, these boys don't know what they are doing. I hope they don't go and hit somewhere. I hope they don't meet an accident. So even if you find someone driving rash, even if you find someone doing something wrong, right? Don't curse them that, oh, they will know only, they will learn their lesson only if they go and, you know, get into something like this. No, don't curse them. Bless them. Oh, they are doing like this. I hope they don't go and land up somewhere like this, right? So when you find, uh, you know, someone buying something, you know, on the roadside, which is full of dirt and this thing, don't say, oh, these people will learn their lesson only if they fall sick. Don't curse them like that. You say, these people are eating all these things. I hope they don't fall sick. Oh Lord, they should not fall sick. Right? So let never any curse come out of your mouth, out of your mind. Don't even think bad for anyone. Always let your mind only bless people everywhere. Even the most cantankerous person, even the worst criminal, you only pray for them. Oh Lord, give them the right buddhi. Give them buddhi. Give them the right understanding. Let these people become good. Right? Durjano sajjano bhuyat. Right? The bad people become good people. Right? So you only bless always. Right? Only wish good for people. That is called as bhava shamshuddhi. So you can take a vow that I will not wish bad for anyone. Right? This is a beautiful mental austerity, mental tapas, a mental pratignya, that a vow that you can take. Right? So manaf prasada saumyatvam, right? Maunam atma vinigraha bhava shamshuddhi ityetat tapo manasam uchyate. So these are all mental austerities. Right? So like this, Krishna has given a list of austerities which we can follow. Right? Now, often right away jumping to saying from now on, I will not do this, it is usually difficult. Like, suppose if you say, right, uh, every day I want to read 2 shlokas from the Gita. Now, if you say from today onwards, like I am going to read 2 shlokas from the Gita every day for rest of my life, now it becomes a too big thing, right? So what you start with, like, because you will feel guilty if you don't stick to it, right? So what you do is you start with saying, for the next 15 days, every day I will read 2 shlokas from the Gita. So now 15 days you successfully you finish it. Then that will give you a lot of strength. Then you say, for the next 15 days, I will read 3 shlokas from the Gita. So you start slowly and keep going gradually, right? That is why we have now this Dashara is coming, Durga Puja is coming, Navratri. So you can say for Navratri, right? Every day. So we have this Sarvamangala Mangalye, 3 shlokas from the Durga Saptasati, right? Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sharvartha Sadike. The 3 shlokas are there by which Sri Ram Krishna worshipped Sharada Devi, right? That is why those 3 shlokas, that stotra is significant, because that stotra, that uh, stotras was used by Sri Ram Krishna to worship Sharada Devi, right? So Navratri, you can say every day Navratri, these 3 stotras I will chant every day morning after taking bath. And with those three stotras every day during the Navratri, I will worship Devi. Very, very simple, easy austerity to do, right? You can take it up, right? So that is what here in the austerity of speech we saw, right? Abhyasanam, right? This is a part of that Abhyasanam, right? So if you study knowing the meaning, then it becomes Swadhyaya. Whereas if you chant without focusing too much on the meaning, then it becomes Abhyasa. Right? There is a difference between Abhyasa and Swadhyaya is that Swadhyaya, you focus on the meaning, and in Abhyasa, you don't focus on the meaning. Right? You may know the meaning, that is okay, but then you don't, the focus is not on the meaning in Abhyasa. Whereas in Swadhyaya, the focus is on the meaning. That is the difference. Right? And both are important. Right? So you can take such vows. Right? And so the time bound vows make it easy for us to start, and start small and then keep going. That is important. Right? Don't start very big right from the beginning and then, like, which is difficult to follow. So start small and keep increasing the severity, keep increasing the number and all that. And another thing, if you see the kind of vratas that Gita talks about, they don't torture the body. In Gita itself, Gita, like in this near this slokas only, he talks about what is satvika tapas, rajasika tapas, and the tamasa tapas. So tamasa tapas, which we should not do, which is prohibited, is a tapas by which the body is tortured. Right? A tapas by which the body is hurt or the body is tortured is considered as tamasa tapas, and Gita says that is prohibited. Don't do that. Right? Don't hurt the body in the name of tapas, because tapas is for the mind, not for the body. Even though we say, right, even though we say sharira tapas, actually sharira tapas taxes the mind, not the body. Right? You do using your body, but the tapas is for the mind only. Right? So when we say sharira tapas, it is not hurting the body. It should not, your tapas should not hurt the body, because tapas is not for the body. This tapas is through the body. Through the body, but tapas is for the mind. All tapas is for the mind only. Whether it is sharira tapas or vachika tapas or manasa tapas, the tapas is for the mind. But it can be through the body, through the words, or through the mind itself. Right? That we have to remember. So you should not torture the body, you should not hurt the body in the name of tapas. Right? Because tapas is always for the mind. Okay. And the second type of tapas, so tamasa tapas is prohibited, which by which the body gets hurt. And rajasa tapas is where you do the tapas so that others think you are great. Right? It is for name and fame. That is rajasa tapas, where you do all kinds of publicity. Right? And you do publicity, and then you want to let everyone know what you are doing, so that people think high of you. That is called rajasa tapas. And Krishna says, yeah, it's okay to have some rajasa tapas. It gives you some encouragement, but over a period of time, get over it. So whatever is mentioned as tamasa in Gita, it has to be completely avoided. Whatever Gita says, this is all rajasika, it means it is okay to have it temporarily, because it might give you some encouragement, but in the long run, you have to get over it. That is what is meant by rajasika attitudes. So rajasika tapas is okay to start with if it encourages you to follow it, but then over a period of time you have to get over it. Right? So sometimes if we suppose if you have taken a tapas, telling others that you are following this tapas helps you to stick to it, because you have told everyone that you are following it, so that puts a pressure on you to follow it strictly. So if you don't have willpower, self-control naturally, you can use this technique by telling others that you are following it, so that to keep up that word. And if you don't follow it, what will others think? Because I have told everyone I'm doing it. That kind of pushes you and puts you under pressure to follow it. So that gives you more strength, more willpower to stick to it. So you can use it temporarily till you get strength, but then that is rajasika tapas. Over a period of time, you have to get over that. Right? And satvika tapas is what you Others don't know what you are doing. Like you follow it in a very, very secretive way as much as possible, because it is very, very personal, right? You follow it very personally. Whatever vows which you take, whatever tapasya which you do, only you and the Lord know it. No one else knows it, right? No one else needs to know it also, right? So that is called Satvika tapas. Sri Ramakrishna says a person who, a Satvika person, he lies down and goes to sleep along with others, right? And once everyone has fallen asleep, he gets up and sits inside his mosquito net and he does japa without anyone else knowing, right? That is kind of a Satvika devotee, Sri Ramakrishna says, right? Others don't know how much japa you are doing, because you kind of go to sleep along with everyone, and mid of the night you get up and keep doing japa without anyone's notice, and before everyone wakes up you again go to sleep, and then you again wake up along with everyone, so no one knows that in between you have got up and done, and you have done so much of japa, right? Such that person is called a Satvika devotee, right? So that's what Sri Ramakrishna says. So Gita also talks about that. Exactly the same thing Gita talks about. So everything which Sri Ramakrishna says is all in the Gita and Upanishads. Like he has so many things he has told, everything you can find in Gita and Upanishads. Right? Anyway, so this is the tapas. So yajna, dana, tapas. Right? So before we proceed, let us check if anyone has any questions. Yeah, thanks, Avik. Yeah, anyone has any questions on what we have discussed so far? Beautiful list of tapas given in 3 shlokas. So you can memorize those shlokas or go and study those 3 shlokas in the 17th chapter and pick up some tapas, some austerities, and you follow it. Right? One is you have to get into the habit of donation, right? Give donation. That is very, very important. And second is you pick up some tapas from this list which Gita has given. And to start with, you start with a time bound one. You say, okay, for the next 1 week, I will follow this. And start slowly. 2 shlokas of the Gita I will read every day for the next 1 week. Right? That is one of the tapas which you can take. And then you can extend it, you can increase it as you wish, depending upon your capacity. Right? Any questions? Is it all clear? This is what is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is Yajna, Dana, Tapas. Very, very well defined. Yajna, we saw Panchamaha Yajna. Dana, you give more than what you have taken, right? And Tapas is this list of austerities, right? So Gita gives a list, and similar to that, you can come up with your own tapas, right? You can say, suppose if you have, if ice cream is your favorite, right? Then you say, 1 month I will not take ice cream. That's a tapas. It will not hurt you. You are not hurting the body, right? But you are following it as a mental discipline, right? So tapas should always be a mental discipline. It is for the mind, but it can be physical. Suppose if you say, for the next 1 month I will not eat ice cream. Now that is a Sharira tapas. It's a physical austerity, which is valid because it doesn't hurt the body, and it is a mental discipline, right? So these are all valid tapas. So like this, you can come up with your own tapas, right? And you can follow it.
Gokul, I had 2 questions here. One is the yesterday's session. I hope you are putting it on YouTube, right? Yesterday's session.
Yes. We will upload it. I'll upload it today. We'll upload it. Yeah.
Okay. And the second part is, see, this is one way of looking at it, from the Gita that you told, and the other way is I'm actually relating it to Patanjali is Yama, Niyama, and Pratyahara and all those things, right?
Mm.
So how do you relate this, effort that if we do, behind this tapas and to the Yama Niyama of Patanjali?
Mm. Mm. So they're all just different lists. That's all, right? See, basically, there are different systems who have created different lists. This is one list, and even in the Gita itself, there are so many lists, right? Whatever I showed you, this is from the 17th chapter. Similarly, there is one list in the 13th chapter, right? Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshantirarjavam, Acharya, Upasanam, Shaucham, Stairyam, Atma Vinigraha. Like, so there is one list. There is a lot of overlap, right? But still, there is one list in the 13th chapter. There is another list in the 16th chapter called this thing, Daivi Sampat, right? There is another list. Then there is another list in the 12th chapter, which we already saw, right? Basically, like, what was that? As the Bhakti, right? So the last 8 shlokas in the 12th chapter, right? One list is there. So like this, there are so many lists in the Gita itself, and even Siddha Prajna Lakshana, that is also a list, which can be considered as a list of austerities also, right? So Gita itself has got multiple lists, so it is okay. And similarly, Patanjali he gives this list of Yama and Niyama. These are all various systems, so we can pick it up and follow whatever which we want to follow.
And another thing, see, if you see these check boxes, I mean, there are some 30, 40 check boxes. Whether I am being truthful, whether I am being satiric, whether I am cleaning, whether I am being shocha and all. So, like every day, if I, keep doing an inventory of, what I'm doing and checking it and all, can any simple solution be there where, 2, 3 cardinal principles we follow, but that will generally take, care of most of the check boxes?
See, there are ready-made check boxes. So, Divine Life Society, Swami Shivananda ji, he has created one list of check boxes. Okay. So, if you go to Divine Life Society website, DLSHQ, or you can just search on Google also, right? So, there are 20 spiritual instructions, and there is something called spiritual diary. So, actually, for Divine Life Society, Shivananda ji Maharaj, like he used to, whoever is part of Divine Life Society, they have to fill that spiritual diary and send it to him every month, and he used to verify and he used to give advice based on that, right? So there is a standard spiritual checkbox which has been created by Swami Shivananda of Divine Life Society, which is available. You can look at it, and there is a 20 important spiritual instructions which also goes along with that. So that is the core of Divine Life Society, right? And Benjamin Franklin, he has created, thanks Sethuramanji. Like, so that is, and there's also the list of, along with that comes the spiritual diary link. That link also maybe you can post, right? Yeah. So Benjamin Franklin created a checkbox which he followed throughout his life. I think he created when he was 13 years or 18 years old, and he followed it till his death. He lived up to, I think, some 70, 80 kind of. So that is one of the very, very popular checklists, Benjamin Franklin's checklist. So you can create your own checklist based on whatever you think makes sense to you, right? So you can create it, and also your checklist can, I think Sethuraman just posted. Yeah. So your checklist can also change over a period of time. So you can say, like, every new year you will create one checklist which you follow for rest of the year, right? And you can refine it over a period of time. And there is a talk by Paramarthananji. So what Paramarthananji says is, you have the Yama and Niyama, right? The 5 Yamas and 5 Niyamas. So he says every month you focus on one, and last 2 months you do a revision, and whichever you have lapsed more frequently, you focus on that. So that way, Paramarthanji has, in one of his talks, he gives a system where I think it's called 10 Commandments of Vedanta. I think that's or 10 commandments of Hinduism or whatever. I think that is the name of the talk. You can search on the net, it will be there. He gives one system of checklists based on the yamas and niyamas, right? So there are systems which people have already worked out, and you can take it, you can refine it, and you can, yeah, thanks, Setiramanji, like the New Year 2000 talk. That's what Paramathanji talked about it. But Gita itself has got a beautiful list, so you can follow any of them. But main thing is, right, start small, right? If you start big, then it might become too difficult and it might become discouraging for you. So start very small, whatever makes sense to you, right? So, and then you can follow it. Like,
And sometimes, Google, I mean, with these checkboxes and instructions, it feels as if, if we don't really take this seriously, this will have a bearing even on the quality of our dhyana and japa also. I mean, because if we don't follow these cardinal principles in our daily life, that purity will not be there, and our effectiveness of dhyana, the concentration, will also be affected. So it helps ultimately even during our spiritual, practices that we do.
yes, yes. See, that is why Patanjali has put yama and niyama before other things, right? Yama, niyama, then asana, pranayama, then only dharana, dhyana, samadhi comes, right? So it is important, right? So that is why this is part of the thing, karma yoga, right? So this is mandatory. Unless we follow karma yoga, all these things, at least to certain extent, meditation is not possible, right? So the prerequisite for meditation is to follow karma yoga, at least to some extent, right? That is 6th chapter. The chapter on dhyana yoga, the first shloka starts with karma yoga only, right? So karma yoga is considered as a prerequisite for meditation. Like, at least to some extent, you have to follow karma yoga, only then meditation is possible.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other questions from anyone? Okay, we'll quickly complete the remaining shlokas, okay, where it talks about how to do karma yoga by offering everything to the Lord. Okay, so let us get back to our slides and quickly we will finish it. Okay, so yajna, dana, tapas we saw. So now the Lord says, I'll chant, you can repeat. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat yattapasyasi kaunteya tatkurushva madarpanam. So here the Lord says, now two ways of classifying is there. One is yat karoshi yadashnasi. So whatever you contribute and whatever you consume, right? Yat karoshi yad ashnasi. You offer it to the Lord. Okay. So whatever you contribute, you offer it to the Lord outside, and whatever you consume, you offer it to the Lord inside. So whatever you contribute or consume, you do it as an offering to the Lord. Then yajna, dana, tapas is covered. Yat juhosi, whatever you do as yajna, dadasi yat, whatever you give as dana, and yat tapasyasi. So whatever you do as tapas. So whatever you do as yajna, dana, tapas, right? So Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, tat kuru, do that, right? Tat kurushva, madhu arpanam. So as offering to me. So whatever you do as yajna, dana, tapas, you do it as an offering to me. That is what the Lord says, right? And if we do that, what will happen? The next shloka says, we'll chant, you can repeat. Shubha Shubha Phalairevam mokshase karma bandhanaihi sannyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upaishyasi. Right? So, thus, shubha, ashubha, phalair evam mokshyase karma bandhanaihi. Right? So, if you do everything as an offering to the Lord, then you will be freed from the bondage of the papa and punya. So, shubha, ashubha, phalaha. Right? So, the fruits, shubha phala is punya, ashubha phala is papa. Right? So, or success, failure, all because every action will yield all different kinds of results. So, if you do everything as an offering to the Lord, then you become free from the bondage of the auspicious and inauspicious results. Right? Shubha Shubha Phalairevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi. Then what will happen? Sannyasa Yoga Yukta Atma Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. Right? Then with that, your mind will be detached and you will be able to attain the Lord. Right? So with a detached mind, Sannyasa Yoga Yukta Atma, right? By you aligning to the detachment, right? And Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. So two things will happen. One is Vimuktaha, so you will be liberated, and Mam Upaishyasi, you will reach me. You will come to the Lord. Right? So thus a person who follows all these things will be both a Jivan Mukta and will reach the Lord when the body drops. So this is what Karma Yoga is described in the Gita. And another significant thing is, see, these two shlokas I showed you, this Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi, 9th chapter, 27th shloka and 28th shloka. The 26th shloka is Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Pranayashiti. So offering Patra, Pushpa, Phala as a offering to the Lord in as puja. So according to the Karma Yoga, you doing puja is a practice or a training to offer everything to the Lord. So in the puja room, you offer flowers, fruits, water, right, to the Lord. And that is a training, that is a practice. With that practice, when you come out of the puja room, you offer all your actions to the Lord, right? All your actions, all the fruits of your actions, everything you have to offer to the Lord. And what you do in the puja room by offering flowers and fruits to the Lord is a training for that. So in the puja room, that is a training. And when you come out and in the real world, that is the actual that where what they say, they know the tire hits the road, right? So you do a simulation to train yourself by offering fruits to the Lord in the puja room, so that you are prepared to actually do the real offering, which is offering all your actions to the Lord. This is the reality. That is simulation. What you do in the puja room is simulation, and what you do in the real world is what you really, this is the real thing. And by doing this, you will become free from all attachments. That is what Krishna says. So this is Karma Yoga according to Gita. Okay, any questions? You can unmute and ask if you have any questions. Any questions, comments, suggestions? Okay, thank you. I think we are running out of time also. So we will chant Priyatam. And next week, we will take up Dhyana Yoga, meditation. Some shlokas on meditation from the Gita, and we will look at it in depth. Okay. Om Priyatam Pundarikakshaha Sarvayajneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Stushte Jagat Tushtam Prinite Prinitam Jagat. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ram Krishna, Jai Ram Krishna.
Thank you.